people are able to do in their lives prevents them from that. But I found it to be really valuable in terms of understanding one another as Secwepemc people. I think it's really important to have it documented, all of the perspective of the people that signed that first declaration. What was their experience of that, and what do they remember? I would like to know that. What do they remember about how it happened, how it came about, how it was developed? And I would like to see especially what their perspective is on it now, so that we can understand how it has changed so much. I wrote a spoken word piece, which I'll do later, and it's called The Mighty Secwepemc. And it's about the time of the declaration and what brought us to that in the first place. Another thing is, if we are to write a new declaration, I believe that it should not be just the chiefs, the INAC chiefs, signing a declaration like that. It should be a document that is signed by the heads of families in each community. And there should be representation from each family member of each community, and that's a lot of people. But that's almost what we need to do in order to have something that is collective. As well, to gather that information from the family heads, you're including the people that were hereditary families and hereditary chiefs in our communities, because many of those people have been ostracized by their own communities. Like in our community, our hereditary chief was Basil Dick, who was the one that went down, went to Victoria, went to Ottawa, and went all the way to England with those other chiefs, with money gathered from our own people. Now, the family head of those families are not recognized even in our own community. Our family recognizes them, but not very many other people recognize them. And I think if you were, to go around to ask people to have their family representatives, so for my family in the Morgan, it could be, one or two, maybe it's a male and a female. And then when it's signed as well, is to have it, of course, in Secwepemc, but have some youth representatives from each community that witness as well, and an elder along with it, so that in the future, that story could be traced back to that youth who was there. And they might only be 12 or 13 years old, but it's meaningful to them in their lives, because I was that age when the first declaration was made, and I know and I recognize a lot of the people on that signed that document. I'm not sure what the declaration. What are we declaring? Are we declaring collective Secwepemc unity again? That's why I'm saying that to find out the stories and the history of how that first document was made is really important. Why? What are the events that brought us to that place? And another thing that I think would be helpful for this is for us to develop I don't like to say timeline because it makes it sound so linear, but maybe a time cycle of the events that led us in our land struggle for our rights from colonialization, from the earliest times, and all of those historical documents that are out there for public viewing. There should be a cyclical time cycle of when those happened, who the people were that were involved, what happened after that. Because what we get from the public, and the reason I'm saying this is because I've worked in the school system and I've presented those important historical documents of our people, and they are not known at all by the institutions and the people that should know them, which means to me the Canadian people do not even know their own history, which is why they cannot be proud Canadians, because they don't even understand what that means. I think that they want to understand what that means. They want to have an identity as well. but they can't because their identity is built on denial of their own history. Because they've been treating First Nations history like it's just for First Nations or something like that. It's not. So it's really important for people to see, however it's presented, that this struggle has not just came up because Kinder Morgan has decided to put a pipeline here. It came up because this is a continuation of the struggle and resistance that has been happening since colonization. It's not just something that Indians decided to wake up one day and say, okay, I'm going to go protest today. It's something that has been going on for over 150 years. And a lot of people don't understand that, and I think if they did, they would, we already have a lot of allies. We have lots out there, but we would have even more because people want to. So I think that's an important part of our, if we're talking about a declaration, those are just some of my ideas. So, quick jam.
Thank you. Good idea.